Alrighty, so here we go. It's time to do the first News of the Week episode of the off season, and I can assure you that we're going to have more of these as we're now into the silly season in MLS. We're pretty much going to be doing a News of the Week episode almost every 3 days because of the way that, this is kind of the season where there's a lot of signings and also transfer rumor that has happened in MLS, and these last couple of days is no different from that. There's been a lot of signings and transfer rumors. It also kind of helps the fact that the league decided to open the transfer window for half day, and there's already a couple of team that is splashing their Gabber buck and splashing some general allocation money and big trades that has gone on in the league. But the first big transfer that we're going to talk about involved Inter Miami, and this one we kind of knew for a long time. There's been a lot of rumor that Diego Gomez looks like he was on his way to Brighton, and that is the case, as it is now finally confirmed that he's going to be going to Brighton for a club record feed of 15 million, and that's club record outbound fee that is for Inter Miami, and definitely going to go up, down as one of the highest outbound fee we have ever seen in league history, and that's just the base fee. There could be some performance incentive that fee can get up to 17 or 18 million dollar, but yeah, this is feels like it's kind of a start for Inter Miami in terms of selling some of their good young talent for a huge amount of money. I mean, people talk about Inter Miami when it comes to how, oh, this is a team that just have Messi and friends and a bunch of bandwagon that joined this team just because of Messi and friends being there. But when you look at this team, if you look past of those superstar kind of player, this team has a bunch of young guys, and it's no surprise that Inter Miami has got a lot of these young players. Not only the fact that these young players they're going to Inter Miami, seeing that not only they have a chance to play for the GOAT itself, but also so there's a chance where this could be a club that can definitely do well in terms of development player and sell them for a big amount of money. And I think this is definitely a good sign to see, and this might be a sign that we're gonna see even more young South American player that potentially is gonna be going to Inter Miami and develop and eventually use that as a springboard to get them into Europe, because why wouldn't anybody, especially any Argentine, would want to not go to Inter Miami and play for the guy that they pretty much has been idolized when they grew up. So definitely a big start for Inter Miami when it comes to selling some big amount of money. Now that being said, it is still going to be a bit of a loss. I mean, Diego Gomez was one of the best young piece, if not the best young piece for this Inter Miami team heading into next season. But I have a feeling that they should be okay, especially. I believe he plays in the similar position as Facundo Farias, who obviously was done for the last season because of a torn ACL, and with him pretty much slotting in that same spot again, it doesn't seem like they lose too much in terms of that. Though it all depends on if Reyes can get back to the quality he has before he suffered that torn ACL in the preseason last year. Now, speaking of young, or speaking of big South American player that currently did well in MLS that potentially could to move on to another team. Well, Facundo Torres is one of those ones, and it seems like he and Orlando City is involved in a bidding war right now, because earlier this week it looks like Palmeiras was the one that was going to get Facundo Torres, but now Cruz Azul saying nope, we're going to hijack this deal, and we might even pump up some more money to try to get him. Now, this is not the first time we've seen Cruz Azul decided to get an MLS player. I mean, we saw what happened in the summer transfer window when they decided to get Yakimakis from Atlanta United. And even though Atlanta was very reluctant to sell their best striker to a Liga MX side, the money basically was just too much for Atlanta to refuse to accept. And yeah, this should be interesting to see how Orlando City will do. I mean, obviously, losing Facundo Torres is going to be big. He was very impactful for this Orlando City side, especially in the second half of the season when he finally found his form. And it's going to be interesting to see which club he's going to land. Is he going to go to Liga MX, or is he going to join a team that is one of the best team in Brazil, and a team that will be participating in the Club World Cup this summer in the US? Now, talk about San Diego, and by the way, I will do a video tonight talking about the expansion draft that San Diego FC will have. They, of course, will have 5 selection, though I'll probably do that video maybe an hour later. Consider, I wonder whether or not if they're going to make some trade along the way, as we usually see with expansion draft, where teams decided to not only pick a player, but most likely they're going to sell them off to another team just to get some sweet general allocation money, or maybe trade them to another team to get the player that they want from another team itself. But that being said, San Diego is starting to build their roster, and one of the players that they acquired is former LAFC forward Thomas Angel. Now, when LAFC got him, it was kind of a puzzling move, consider LAFC was already pretty stacked in that spot, and that it doesn't seem like there's really too much of a roster role for him to be there. And unsurprisingly, he was actually loaned to the USL Championship. He played with Phoenix Rising all season long last year, and it was very underwhelming season for him. He didn't really do that well in that season. So this is kind of an interesting one for San Diego. Decided to get a guy that was kind of a bit average in the USL Championship. I'm assuming he's probably not going to be a high end starter, and maybe a guy that could also be loaned to another USL Championship side, or maybe even get loaned back to Phoenix, right? Seeing as we speak. But yeah, there's no doubt this is one of the first signing that San Diego has made, and another signing that is definitely a bigger one. That they are actually not officially confirmed, but it is pretty close to do so. In Orlando, or not Orlando, New York Red Bulls defender Andres Reyes, as San Diego FC is reported that they are going to acquire him, and it's going to be a big amount of general allocation money too. 750,000 general allocation money. That's a lot of money for a defender itself. I mean, normally when you see a big general allocation money, it's usually more on the attacking side of things. But for defense, that is definitely a lot of money. Obviously, it's not surprising consider Andres Reyes was absolutely locked down in the playoffs, and it's unfortunate what we saw in MLS Cup. I mean, we will never know if he was available in that game against the Galaxy. The Red Bulls probably wouldn't have given up those two goals early in the game that put them in a 2-0 hole that they weren't able to recover in that MLS Cup. But either way, he for the most part he's been a very good defender for the Red Bulls. I mean, yes, he has been at times reckless at times this season, maybe getting himself caught out of position a little bit too much. But overall, we saw that improvement as the season goes along, and as I said in the playoffs, he was an absolute monster at the back. Like he was an absolute rock at the back for the Red Bulls. One of the key stone reason why the Red Bulls defense was so locked down last season, and getting a pleasant and like that, that's gonna be huge for San Diego. Consider, when I look at expansion team, and at least some recent expansion team, you want to build up your defense. Your defense is going to be something that is going to be a key in terms of you doing well in the first season. I mean, the attack will definitely be there, but it's about locking down the defense, having a very good defense, so you can have a good start to your expansion season. Now, speaking of defense, the Colorado Rapids definitely booster their back line. They decided to sign Chidozo Awazium and Ian Murphy in exchange for up to $1.2 million general allocation money to FC Cincinnati. Now, this is a big surprise that Cincinnati decided to sell two of their better defender to the Rapids. I mean, the Rapids, of course, would definitely welcome with open arms, especially last season we clearly saw that once Moses Bombedo left this team, that defense definitely shows some crack, and it really fall apart as the season ends. And there's no doubt that getting these two guys that will absolutely boost this defense heading into next season. But really, what is kind of surprised is that Cincinnati decided to let both of them go. I mean, again, they were a pretty good piece for this Cincinnati team, and consider this is a team that desperately needs some defensive help after them having some problem on that end. Selling defender when you need some defensive help, that is definitely an interesting decision that Cincinnati has made. Unless if they're going to completely remodel their defense and hope both Nick Hagelin and Miazga is going to be back to health. But then you question, well, what about the depth of this team? It doesn't seem like this team has really good depth in the defensive front as well. Something tells me they might be reshaping their defense, or at least reshaping the depth of this defense this offseason as well. And then another move that is kind of a blockbuster move, but we kind of knew this all along, and that of course is the Quake signing Ian Harkes, Mark Anthony Kay, and Dave Romney in exchange for 500,000 GAM and international spot to New England. I mean, I don't really need to talk too much about this. I've already mentioned it before in the previous news of the week episode. I think it's a good deal. Consider, yes, some of these players might be low end starter, but keep in mind these players are key players part of when Bruce Arena was with New England, and it seems like he's gonna bring in his guy to this team and hope that it has the same success. And why not? I mean, he had a lot of success, really turned that franchise around from being a bottom feeder to be a contender in the East, and we're now seeing the huge difference now with the way that ever since he left that team, New England has not been the same when Bruce Arena was in charge. And then RSL, they have acquired Tyler Wolff in exchange for 50,000 general allocation money to Atlanta United. I think this is a steal for RSL. I mean, Tyler Wolff, a very good utility piece for Atlanta, and especially RSL needed some depth in that midfield area. This feels like it's a good move and a good low risk high reward kind of situation, and especially Tyler Wolff is still relatively young. I mean, I know he's obviously will always be compared to his brother, whether or not if he is better than his brother Owen, with him playing with Austin. But I think he did really decent as a utility piece. And again, for 50,000 general allocation money for a utility like that is considered really cheap. I'm surprised Atlanta didn't raise that price a little bit more. Now, DC United, they have acquired goalkeeper Luis Barraza from NYCFC in exchange for 150,000 general allocation money. Now, this I think could potentially be the replacement to their backup goalkeeper, who I think their backup goalkeeper was Quinton Westberg, but Quinton Westberg, of course, announced his retirement this offseason. So they need a backup in that. Now, Luis Barraza, I don't know if that's considered to be a good backup option. Well, I think he is a decent backup option. I mean, he's definitely not an MLS caliber kind of starting player, but I don't know no paying 150,000 gam, especially for a backup goalkeeper like that. I mean, that's kind of an interest. So you usually don't see a lot of teams decided to a backup goalkeeper or trade backup goalkeeper with that amount of money. But we shall see whether, of course, it will work out for DC. And especially, I say backup goalkeeper. There could be a case that we could be seeing a goalkeeping being battle between Alex Bono and Luis Barraza, because Bono wasn't really that good last season for DC. I think that's also kind of one area that maybe DC might need to address, as I'll talk about them in the moving forward series episode. But yeah, getting Luis Barraza, I don't know if that really moves the needle of them getting better in terms of that goalkeeper position, unless if it's a backup option, which feels like this could be the case. And then Austin FC, they have exercised the contract buyout of Jarzy Zardes, and this one is not a big surprise. I mean, it's pretty clear that Jarzy Zardes, he is heading in the same path as Josie Altidore, a guy that probably is near the twilight of his career, and it's crazy to say that because he's only 33 years old. I mean, I know that doesn't sound like pretty young for a player, but for a guy that seems like he's been around forever, it's hard to believe he's only 33 years old. But like what I compare to Josie Altidore, it seems like he's a guy that is clearly on the wrong end of 30, and is a guy that I don't know if any team would want to offer him a contract, unless if it's a contract that doesn't really hit the cap too much. I mean, with the cap hit that Jarzy Zardes has, and the salary that he was earning for Austin, they had no choice. They had to cut ties with him. He wasn't really producing the way that they hoped that he would, and with a massive contract that he's sitting in, yeah, Austin had no choice. They had to exercise this contract buyout and really kind of free up some cap space that they have to sign some replacement and sign some players heading into the next season as well. Now, moving on in terms of next news, and now talk about contract extensions. So the New York Red Bulls, they have signed goalkeeper Ryan Maris to a contract extension. It is hard to believe that Ryan Maris has been with the New York Red Bulls for over a decade now. I mean, this is a guy that has been with the Red Bulls not only longer than any Red Bulls player, but he's been there ever since the when we saw the Red Bulls sign some really good big name player like Thierry Henry and Tim Hill as well. Now, obviously, he never really kind of got the starting job because a certain guy called Luis Robles was there, and it turns out he was very good for the Red Bulls all this year. And then it's unfortunate that he didn't really kind of get a chance again, because another guy called Carlos Cornell kind of stepped into that role and really locked down that spot as well. But overall, despite the fact that he doesn't get a lot lot of appearance for the Red Bulls. He's a guy that, from what I heard, he's a very good locker room presence. He's almost kind of like a coach for this Red Bulls team, and I wouldn't be surprised once he does decide to hang up his boots. Not only the fact that I think he's considered to be a Red Bulls legend, considered he's been with the club pretty much longer than any Red Bulls player by a country mile, but a guy that could definitely join the Red Bulls front office or even the coaching staff as well. I mean, he's definitely a guy that is a good example of a player that, even though they haven't played a lot for the team, if you bring that good locker room presence and good leadership presence, you're gonna be always a guy that could be sticking around for a club for a very long time. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, that we're seeing the example of Ryan Mears with the Red Bulls. Now, Nashville, they also have signed Josh Bauer to a contract extension. Not a big surprise because, Bauer is a good backup option for this Nashville SC side as well. And then speaking of center back option, LAFC is also close to signing Aaron Long to a contract extension. Now, this is definitely big for LAFC because at time Aaron Long was one if not their best defender last season. I think he kind of got injured as the season goes along. That's why he wasn't in feature. But there was a question that whether or not if he's going to go into the free agency market, and if that is the case, he would have been one of the biggest free agency market and a player that I'm pretty sure a lot of teams that need some defensive help would look to trying to get his service. But LAFC saying nope, we're not going to get him to on the free agency market. They decided that they're pretty close in terms of signing the contract extension. It's not official yet, but they're very close to do so. And again, for a guy that has been rock solid for this LAFC team, and at times literally the linchpin of this defense this season, no surprise that LAFC decided to lock him down to a contract extension. Now, moving on to the next news. So the Philadelphia Union, they have once again traded all their draft picks, and this time the team that gets the recipient of all the draft picks for the Union sweepstake is the Colorado Rapids. Though they did have to pay for it, 350,000 K is the amount. But again, this is an annual tradition for the Philadelphia Union. They're a team that really treat the Super Draft like it's an afterthought, and it kind of makes sense because this is a team that has probably the best academy in the U.S. and they really don't need to rely on draft pick and college player for them to booster. A lot of their players coming out of the academy can fit relatively well, and not to mention when it comes to the Super Draft, even though I know I have been one of those people that have always thought that the Super Draft is kind of an afterthought. There are definitely some sneaky good picks in the Super Draft as well, and some rough diamonds in the Super Draft as well that will turns out to be so well that they actually were sold for a huge amount of money later on. But that's not how the Union thinks of it. The Union always think that well, we already had a good homegrown kind of pipeline. We don't really need to do the super draft, and we'll just give it away to teams that need it, and we'll pocket some money in exchange for it as well. Now, moving on, now talk about some transfer rumors. So the Seattle Sounders have report to acquire Jesus Ferreira from FC Dallas. Now, I'm interested to see how much general allocation money is going to be if this deal does reach, and it feels like it's pretty close of being a reality as well. I have a feeling it could be at least 2 million general allocation money. Yes, Jesus Ferreira had a down year with FC Dallas last season. Partially is due to the fact that he was battling injuries nonstop week in and week out and didn't really make a lot of parents for this Dallas team. But if Jesus Ferreira can rediscover his form that he had in the 2022 season, and a guy that has regularly appeared for the U.S. men's national team, and a guy that can potentially still generate some interest overseas as well, then the Sounders definitely got a decent player. But that being said, we said the same thing about Albert Rusnak when they decided to get him. Remember when Albert Rusnak went to the Sounders and got the DP tag? Everybody thought that was going to be good because he did some really good thing for RSL, and yeah, it hasn't really quite worked out so well. I mean, he's been better at least this season itself, but definitely, I would say overall, just not really worth the DP tag. And you wonder, is this going to be the same thing with Jesus Ferreira? Can he rediscover the good form? If he can't, then especially if they chuck a DP tag on him, that just feels like it's a wasted DP spot as well. But ultimately this should be very interesting, and especially I think this is the Raul Ruidiaz replacement as well. I think Dallas has played Jesus Ferreira more as a 10 at time last season as well, and part of that is because they've already have Pedro Musa playing in the 9 position. They've playing Jesus Ferreira kind of out of position at time, and I'm interested to see that for the Sounders, would they just kind of stick him in that number 9 spot? It seems like he's more comfortable in that spot than playing out of position and even playing at a 10 spot that we saw last season for Dallas. But overall, it should be very interesting to see how much money uh, the Sounders will have to pay for that, because for a guy that is considered to be one of the best number 9 and a proven MLS number 9 for all these years for Dallas, it's not going to be cheap for the Sounders to able to acquire him, and most likely they might have to chuck the DP tag on him as well. Now, the Philadelphia Union, they are reported to finalizing a deal to sign Ian Glenvich from Newell Old Boys on loan with an option to buy. I'll tell you what, when I heard his name, I was surprised the fact that he was Argentine. I mean, not just because he has the same first name as I am, but the fact that that name sounds more like a Baltic kind of name. He must have some heritage because of that. But that being said, this is a deal that potentially it's a sign of the Union are going to maybe reshape their back line. This was going to be always a big question for the Union this offseason. That are they going to reshape that back line after the disastrous season that back line has had? Are they going to reshape it? Are they going to at least even get rid of one of their two center back in Jack Elliott or Jacob Lesnes? And if they do get this deal done, I have heard that he is very good and he has a lot of good upside as well. Yeah, I think this is kind of the beginning of the Union thinking that yeah we gotta reshape our back line, because after how bad the defense was last season, that was kind of the number one priority that they have to fix heading into this off season. Now, moving on into news that is unrelated to transfer rumors, signings, and contract extensions. So, FIFA actually have said that they are actually considering bringing back the Club World Cup in 2029 in the U.S. again. Now, it's interesting to see that they already said that they're interested to do so. I mean, I can understand why they want to bring the Club World Cup back in the U.S. It can definitely generate a lot of money. There's a reason why we're seeing a lot of international tournament and are starting to come to the U.S. because that's where the money is going to bring, and that it just feels like this is going to be once again the case again. Though again, I wonder if it can also maybe depend on how success this Club World Cup is going to be. People already said that this Club World Cup feels like it could be a bit of a waste, and there's even a question that whether if these big European teams are even going to take this competition seriously. Especially when this competition is literally taking place right after the Champions League season. It's literally right after when their off season is supposed to be. And again, you wonder whether if teams are gonna maybe kind of treat this almost like an early preseason itself before their actual preseason begin. But ultimately, yeah, it should be very interesting to see whether or not if FIFA is going to bring the Club World Cup back to the US for a second run just 4 years later. Though, one thing that FIFA have officially announced is that the 2034 World Cup will be officially host in Saudi Arabia, and everybody saw this coming. I mean, we knew this was coming. We kind of even knew it in 2032 when they specifically decided to host in 6 different nations, with 3 in the CONMEBOL region and 3 in the UEFA, or 2 in the UEFA region and 1 in the CAF region. That you just kind of had a feeling with FIFA decide to do that. That means now they can choose a team from the AFC region, as that if you go according to the rule and the rotation, AFC would be eligible in 2034. And knowing the fact that after what we saw in Qatar, and especially all these Middle Eastern rich kind of state that has a lot of money, Saudi Arabia has been a country that's been in the news in terms of sports. We all know about their Vision 2030 plan and bring a lot of big sporting events to the kingdom as well. It was a matter of time before FIFA decided to give it to them. Now, is it good the fact that once again we're gonna have a World Cup in the Middle East? Probably not. Especially it's probably gonna happen in the winter again, and especially all the controversy surrounding Saudi Arabia. Yeah, that's gonna definitely leave a bit of a uh, uh, a black stain to the World Cup being host there. We even heard about the boycott in 2022 with the World Cup being host in Qatar as well. Feels like it's going to be happening again, and that's going to be a new storyline heading into the 2034 World Cup itself. But again, I don't think anybody are surprised nowadays about FIFA decided to prioritize money over the potential safety and even just the way that the prestige of the World Cup is because that's just kind of been the theme for FIFA. I mean, if you thought that after they got rid of that the old president Sepp Blatter and thinks that FIFA is going to purify and get rid of their corruption scheme. No, no. If FIFA is still as corrupt as the IOC that hosts the Olympics years in and years out. Now, the New York Red Bulls, they are set to rename their stadium as Sports Illustrated Stadium. Now, this feels like a big surprise and really kind of came out of left field. I would have never guessed the fact that the Red Bulls would think about selling their stadium sponsor that is not named after the not named after their parent company, the Red Bulls. Like literally all these Red Bulls team, the one from Leipzig and the one in Salzburg as well, and other Red Bulls team around the world. Their stadium is always going to be called Red Bull Arena. So the fact that Sports Illustrated decided to scoop into this, I mean, they must have paid a huge amount of money. And consider Sports Illustrated, I think they no longer print those magazine every weeks or so, and it sucks that is the case because that's kind of one of my childhood as well. I really enjoy Sports Illustrated when they printed those magazine week in and week out, and now it feels like it's all online because of it. But still, they must have paid a lot of money, and again, this is going to be another stadium that it's going to be hard to really refer to this as Sports Illustrated Stadium. I'm pretty sure Red Bulls fans are going to still call that stadium Red Bull Arena, and it should be because that's literally the name of the stadium ever since its inception in 2010, and it's going to take a while before people actually call this Sports Illustrated traded stadium and again it's also kind of weird to see a company that I thought they kind of bankrupt a couple of years ago still have money left in the tank to probably give the Red Bulls that much money to finally decide to sell out on their naming rights out of their parent company and name it something else. Now, speaking of stadium, North Texas SC will move to a new 7,000 capacity soccer specific stadium. They're actually going to be moving away of the stadium formerly known as the ballpark at Arlington. That's where the Texas Rangers used to play before they moved to their new stadium across the street and moved indoor as well. And this makes sense because it is pretty clear that the stadium that they play, I think it's now called Choctaw Stadium, that stadium is way too big, and also it just I know when you come to MLS next pro kind of thing, you don't expect a lot of fans attend these games, but still, I mean, it just feels very cavernous, and it just feels very empty to see like a 40,000 plus seated stadium, and it hosts just a few amount of fans. That is, a 7,000 seat will definitely make more sense, and especially it should draw more crowd to the game as well because North Texas SC they might be an MLS next pro team, but this is a team that I think can draw very good crowds considering they're one of the more successful team in the MLS next pro, and not to mention they have a lot of good young talent. This is a team that Dallas traded just a couple of years ago that they desperately needed because with all these good players that come out of their academy, they needed an affiliate team to get these guys minutes before potentially promoted into the main team as well. And again, don't be surprised, we're gonna see a lot some of these North Texas SC players that could come to the Dallas team and could make themselves a big name as we have seen before with a lot of these FC Dallas players and a lot of Dallas players that came out of their academy eventually went up to go all the way to have success even with the national team itself. And then the USL also teased a new cup competition between the USL Championship and USL League One team, and I kind of like this because I feel like this is kind of like the USL own version of the FA Cup as well, or maybe you could say the Leads Cup as well, especially with the way that MLS seems like they're doing their version of the Leads Cup itself. Now, when it comes to this competition, is this going to maybe damage the heritage and the tradition of the U.S. Open Cup more? I don't think so. I think USL Championship side will still take the U.S. Open Cup seriously, and it'll be still very interesting to see how that competition is going to be heading into next season. But ultimately, I like this new little competition, and there's going to be more news about that. I believe they did a teaser about how they're going to announce this tomorrow, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of format is going to be heading into tomorrow. And then finally, the last news I'm going to talk about is the MLS Cup ratings. So yeah, the ratings, especially on linear audience and especially on TV that is not Apple TV. These are on Fox. They didn't exactly say the ratings and how many people watched the game, but they said that the ratings were down nearly 50% compared to 2023. Now, this is not a big surprise considering one, this was taking place during the time when all these big championship game was happening in college football, and when you have that go against it, yeah, it's not gonna do so well. But also, I think this is another example of just poor marketing on Fox part. I mean, I feel like Fox, when they agreed to this deal, I mean, I know that they really still want to be part of this MLS deal, but it just feels like right now with this new deal reached by Apple TV, it actually I think kind of harms Fox in terms of their coverage of MLS than ever. I mean, it feels like now they're kind of playing second fiddle to the giant that is Apple TV broadcasting this game as well. And it also kind of sucks the fact that the one thing that we always talk about the Apple TV deal, and now 2 years into it, the one big criticism, of course, the Apple TV deal is that it's now really started to turn casual away. Like when you look at the way that the league trying to advertise itself and marketing, they haven't really done a great job in terms of marketing in that department, trying to get the casual into it. And a big part of the reason why they haven't been doing so is because they put this behind a paywall. And even when and I wouldn't say casual, but even with fans that actually watch their team, it's got to be very frustrating that you still have to pay a bit of money just to sign up for Apple TV so you can of course watch the team, whereas before you could have just watched on your regional network itself. So yeah, again, as a result of that, it is not surprised that the audience and the rating has dropped in terms of Fox coverage. And then of course the other big factor why the ratings dropped down very much. Inter Miami was not involved in this. I even mentioned before how the ratings is going to absolutely tank after Inter Miami suffer that shock first round exit. But most importantly, it's just the marketing that Fox have done. It's been almost half-assed to a point where I have heard people said that they didn't even realize that MLS Cup was actually going to be broadcasting on Fox itself. And yeah, again, that's going to be something that I think it'll be an interesting topic to talk about, and it could be a topic where it could be one of the big concern about this league going forward. Where was it the right decision for them to decide to ink that Apple TV deal? I mean, on paper, in the beginning, it seems like it's a good deal considering now that you can watch every game without out restriction, unlike before where for some fans it was very hard to watch their team play, especially with their team is playing in a regional network that might not even treat their team with a lot of priority and seniority. But at the same time, it kind of also hurts the fact that now it's put behind a paywall. There are some casual that simply are not going to watch it on Apple TV because they don't want to pay a huge amount of money just so they can watch their team play every single week. Like not every casual is going to watch every MLS game or even care about other MLS team. They're not like me that basically have Apple TV and do previews and reviews of every single game throughout the regular season and into the postseason as well. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for the review or not the review, but the news of the week for this week. And again, we're getting to the point of the season where I'm gonna probably be doing another news of the week episode on the weekend. There's gonna be more news that's gonna be coming out of MLS, and it's be interesting to talk about. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, be sure to like, smash the subscribe button, and also let me know in the comments below if there's any news I didn't put here on the board. You want me to talk about? Let me know in the comments below. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.